Okay, well, welcome to the Peninsula Humane Society and SPCA. I'm Ken White. I'm the organization's president, and it's terrific to be in a room with these wonderful human beings, they're wonderful animals, and a group of people who are interested in joining us today. Briefly, the Peninsula Humane Society is an organization dedicated to building healthy relationships between people and other animals. This building, which is now almost 4 years old, we save the lives of over 6,000 animals a year, and I hope some of you will take a tour when we're done with the press conference. Dogs and cats and other animals for adoption, injured and orphaned native wildlife needing to be made well before they're released back into the wild, and programs for school children, animal therapy programs, reaching out into the community. Today, we are basically providing a setting for this conference. And I get to introduce Congresswoman Jackie Speier, which for me, it's kind of like being the guy who's practicing guitar in the band and gets a phone call to introduce the Rolling Stones. It's kind of an amazing opportunity. Anyone who gets a chance to introduce a congressperson, especially someone with the career of our congresswoman, would typically go to the website and get all the important facts and figures. I could do that. I'm not going to, because I get to tell a story briefly about Jackie that probably no one else can. Several years ago, it's probably close to a decade, Jackie and her family came to visit us to adopt a dog. When someone of note is interested in adopting an animal, I'm always a little extra anxious about what could possibly go wrong. We identified a few dogs that we thought were a good match, but Jackie and her family fell instantly in love with a very big, slightly in control, totally wonderful dog who she decided to take home. I left them at their car worrying that maybe this was too much dog, not sure. And the next morning I came to work to find a phone message which said the following. Buddy burst open the front door, ran through the hallway, ran through the living room, ran through the hallway, ran through the kitchen, out the laundry room, into the pool, did 2 laps, turned around, ran back into the house, sopping wet, through the kitchen, and jumped onto the couch to roll to dry himself, and we just love him. So let me introduce you to Buddy's mother, our congressperson, and a dear friend to the animals everywhere, Congresswoman Jackie Speier.
Thank you. Well, a postscript to that story is that Ken had named Buddy Knucklehead. Now, why would you name a dog Knucklehead? He's not the smartest dog in the world, but he is indeed the most lovable dog in the world. And we are so grateful to the Peninsula Humane Society for offering all of us that opportunity to become connected with the dog. First to Ken, who's been in this business for 37 years and who has helped create this really extraordinary shelter, over $26 million to build. You are in the park, in case you didn't notice. The city thought having an outdoor park would be a bit of a distraction for those who were driving by. So knowing how government works, they found a way around it. They created this retractable ceiling, this AstroTurf, and of course the wonderful fountains that you just saw operational. So we're very grateful that you've given us the opportunity to use this great facility to highlight a very important issue. So when I spend 3 days in Washington and come home on the 4th day exhausted and anxious and spent, I walk in that front door and here is Buddy waving his tail, so excited to see me that all of that anxiety, all of that pressure, all of the tenseness just leaves me. And that's what animals, and particularly dogs, do for all of us in so many ways. Today I'm joined with some 2-legged heroes and some 4-legged heroes. And this is one of the most extraordinary press conferences I'm sure I will ever have. But we're going to highlight something that is deeply important to all of us in this country that care deeply about veterans. This is a focus on how we can make the lives of veterans fuller and complete. so that they can adapt back into society after having been in war-torn countries, providing us with so much leadership and so much courage, and seeing untold, horrific scenes, that they can come home and that we will be there for them. The VA has for quite a while paid for the training and the veterinary care for dogs who provide services to those veterans who are disabled, who have permanent vision or hearing or mobility issues. They have been working for some time on a study that's been going on for many years now that looks at the benefit that dogs can provide to veterans who are diagnosed with PTSD. That study is ongoing, but we're here today to say we don't need this study any longer. We have plenty of facts, and you will be hearing from some of these remarkable men in just a moment. But imagine a veteran who is still troubled by PTSD. Imagine him waking up having had a nightmare and reliving a particular horrific experience, and having a dog jump onto that bed and lick his face and calm him down. That's a remarkable contribution to that veteran. We have also here today some nonprofits that provide for great services to these veterans. They will help distinguish between a service animal and a companion animal. There are three important points that I want to underscore. First, a dog is not for everyone. So it's important to recognize that ownership is a responsibility. And while dogs can be great benefits to a veteran who is diagnosed with PTSD, they have to be in a position to be responsible in its care. It's important to do the research. Many groups provide this service of matching vets with dogs for free. They go beyond that and provide a situation where they can actually live with the animal and be trained on how to care for that animal. There are others that charge for this service. So it's important to know the very valuable nonprofits that exist out there that provide this service for free. And then it's important to understand the benefits of owning a dog. Depending on how they're trained and how they're paired with you, a dog can help monitor anxiety attacks and other behavior. But the miracle of a service dog may not happen each and every time to each and every owner. So that's why the young science that we are still engaged in at the Veterans Administration doesn't have all the answers yet. But we do know that there are some very significant answers for these vets. And so I want to introduce them to you. First is Matt Matlock, an extraordinary young man who is a senior at UC Berkeley, a former Air Force Special Ops Staff Sergeant who was deployed in Afghanistan 3 times and who has 3 Bronze Stars, one with a special recognition for valor, for combat heroism. He is joined by his dog, Willis. Matt, would you like to come up?
I'd first like to thank Congresswoman for having us here. This is a really special event, and I think it's great getting veterans together with their dogs. I know for myself, I did 3 rotations, like the Congresswoman was saying, to Afghanistan, and there were things that I trained for and prepared for as far as doing my job and getting shot at, amongst other things. But they're just things that you really can't train for as far as seeing casualties on the battlefield like your friends. So when I came home from that last rotation, I had some physical scars as well as emotional, and they identified that pretty early with me, got me in a couple different programs, and then when I moved from my unit down here to the Bay Area, I had a little bit of a situation where I was having a little bit of a relapse, and twice in 1 week I had folks recommend a service dog program to me. So having grown up with labs, I typed into the internet veterans, service dogs, and Labradors, and I found a great organization, Labs for Liberty, Dr. Joan Nold and her husband Roger, and they've been an absolute lifeline for me. Joan called me within an hour of having contacted them. They got me in the system, and within a week they sent me a picture of Willis as a pup, and I knew that within 6 months I was going to be having a battle buddy come home with me. So it's been fantastic. I spent spring break in Utah finalizing training with Willis here, and got to come home with him, and it's been great ever since. Everybody that's been around me, my family, friends, anybody that's close contact with me has seen a difference, and I know for myself that I've seen a really big difference in my quality of life. So organizations like Labs for Liberty are making a huge impact for veterans that are coming home from the battlefield. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you for coming. I think this is a really good cause, and I know firsthand the impact that it's had on my life. So thank you.
Matt, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Next is Marine Sergeant Jerome Vahai, who had 2 tours in Iraq, and by his side is Chewy. Well, actually, literally by his side.
My name is Chewy's dad now. Chewy's a Shih Tzu Yorkie mix, so he's a Shorkie. And he loves DOGPARKS's and hates BATHS's. And I have to spell that because he gets either very excited or very depressed. Chewy and I do everything together. He's really changed my life. When I first got back, I think the hardest part was being away from my Marines and my support. You know, my buddies that backed me up, they watched my back. And I felt very vulnerable. I felt very unprotected. And since Chewy came to my life, I mean, before he came, I built up walls and I kept people out. And thanks to him, he's helped me to look up and to look around me and say, look, you don't have Marines around you anymore, but you have a lot of support. You have a lot of friends. You have Paws for Purple Hearts. You have Labs for Liberty and Veterans with Pets, and you have a lot of support around here. And so he said, I'll go in front of you. I'll build the bridges. I'll build those, help you to come back. And he's done that for me. Right now, we just got A+ certified. I think he thinks he helped me with the test, but he didn't. But we went through a great program called Empower, and they also bought me this suit. We also are going to Stanford Healthcare, and we're interning there, and there's about 26 veterans, and we're all getting a crack at IT, and he goes around the room and helps everybody. So and he's helped me change my life and help me, with nightmares and things like that. In closing, I just wanted to also say thank you to Congresswoman Speier. Having you here in this district and to be in your district, I felt very safe knowing that you have also gone what we've gone through, and that you've also put your life on the line for our country. Thank you very much. I didn't get the chance to say that, but very often. So now that I have the chance, I want to say thank you.
Now, I want to have Dave Janelle come up with his service dog, Laddie. Dave was in the Navy in Desert Storm.
This is very nerve-wracking for me, way outside of my comfort zone.
Help you out.
And he feels everything I'm going through. Like the Congresswoman said, I served through Desert Shield, Desert Storm, on the USS Tripoli, which was one of 2 ships to accidentally find mines in the Persian Gulf, which left a mark on me. I didn't know it at the time. I took it and I stuffed it way down, and it stayed buried for 24 years. It just recently resurfaced, and I am now dealing with it. And from that, I was suggested that I look into getting a service dog, because I've had dogs my entire life. I had just, unfortunately, had to put my pit lab to sleep 2 years ago. And looking backwards on it, she was Yes, I know. She was a perfect service dog. She knew. She knew when I came home upset. She was right by my side, just like this. And I looked around. I got information, a list of organizations from a guy named Juan Valdez from Dogs on Deployment. Found Operation Freedom Paws, gave them a call, sent them all the information they sent them all the information they needed, and 6 months later I got paired with Laddie. We've been paired for 2.5 months, and just made an incredible change in my life. Everybody around me sees the difference. I'm a lot more relaxed, well, except now. And he's just been a lifesaver. I'd like to thank you for having us come.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your service. Finally, we have Air Force Master Sergeant Eddie Ramirez and his dog, Malo. All right, Eddie.
Congresswoman Speier, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Malo translates into bad, and he's a bad dog. He's not a service dog, but he's my partner. He's my dog. He's one of 4 that I had throughout my life. We had Onyx when I was up in Sacramento. We picked up Malo and his sister at Edwards Air Force Base, and just recently we had to put the sister down due to some health concerns. Malo's about 11, 12 years old now, and my wife went out and got a Chow Maltese mix now. So now we got two dogs in the house. Malo knows when I come home. He knows when I'm hurting. He knows when I'm sad. He's the only one that doesn't turn his back on me at home. I have my mother-in-law lives there, my sister-in-law lives there, my wife, and now 2 dogs. And he's always there by my side. I served 22 years active duty Air Force. I moved 14 times in 22 years. I closed down 4 bases in a row. And when I got out, I had a hard time trying to find work and try to get my identity back. Eventually, I got a job with the Department of Labor. And until recently, I was the administrative officer for mental health at the San Francisco VA Medical Center. There, I met Dr. Russell Lamley. And Dr. Russell Lamley is doing the Vets and Pets. And one day, he invites me to the Petco conference in Pleasanton. And he asked me to speak. So I told my story. I told the story about the dogs and what they do for us. I mean, they search for bodies, they search for bombs, they protect us, and they're there all the time in the event of emergencies for us. And we were able to get $10,000 from Petco for the Vets and Pets program. And with that, I'm sorry that Russell Lemley's not here, but I'll continue to work for my veterans. I'll continue to work for the pets and anybody, any veteran that needs help. I now have a nonprofit called One Vet, One Voice, where I help them with healthcare, education, housing, and employment. And I also recently bought a cafe called Mama Art Cafe, where I'm trying to train veterans into entrepreneurship training. With that, I thank you all for attending. Thank you, ma'am. Sure, thank you.
And our final vet is Ari Sonnenberg, who you see here with his daughter Nila and his dog Siggy. And Ari was a constituent for a period of time, lived in Burlingame, was in great pain because he had filed his disability claim with the Veterans Administration. It was processed improperly, he was declined. Meanwhile, he was at Stanford seeking attention for his issues. And we were able to successfully get him 100% disability. And he has since moved to the Netherlands, where his wife has said to us that this dog has saved their marriage. So not only saving the veteran, but oftentimes saving the family. So we wanted to give a special shout out to Ari, even though he's not here. But this picture is pretty darn special in and of itself. Now I'd like to ask Barbara Teasdale, who's the founder of Vets Adopt Pets, to come forward and talk about what she has done, which is remarkable as one person taking on this issue and doing remarkable work. Barbara?
Thank you so much. Y'all think you're nervous? Okay, I'm Barbara, and I run Vets Adopt Pets. What we do is we thank, we help veterans active duty and their families move on from war when they want to adopt a pet at their local pet shelter. This is like the best way we can think of to not only say thank you, but to show our gratitude is to actually pay for the pet adoption fee. We understand the love and the companionship these animals provide, the fun and the happiness, which is just like way cool, but it also can help heal a very wounded soul. In addition, we help our four-legged veterans, our military working dogs, our contract working dogs, i.e. the war dogs, with information on how to adopt them. Normally and hopefully they will go to their handlers, but on occasion they are needed to be adopted by people of the general public. I brought a cheat sheet because I'm like really nervous. All right, furthermore, we actually do help wounded veterans with supplying information and referrals on service dog organizations, which you will hear from shortly, that train and provide the dogs to the veterans. Each adoption we've done, each match, anywhere across the nation is just amazing. It's just very special. Each veteran's story is just as important as the last one. The common denominator I hear over and over again is the pride and the voice of veterans for their service to us all. We've placed over 200 dogs in the loving homes of veterans, and we also hear from the wives and even some of the children how happy the pet has made their family or them individually. In terms of service dog information and referrals, we've supplied way over 1,000 either phone calls or emails, lots of information, lots of requests for service dog information. We need a lot more service dogs for our veterans. I think that's about it. If you're interested in contacting us, you can find us at our website, which is vetsadoptpets.org, and I'll see you there. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm still shaking.
Sandra Carson is a therapeutic instructor for Paws for Purple Hearts. So we welcome Sandra.
Thank you for having me. My name is Sandra. I am the therapeutic instructor for Paws for Purple Hearts, and I work at the Menlo Park VA, and what I do is I teach our veterans that have PTSD to train service dogs for fellow veterans that have a combat disability. And I have a mental health background, and so we tie their PTSD treatment goals into training that service dog. We are a nonprofit organization, so we don't charge veterans to get a service dog. It's a great process to see the vets that come in initially not wanting to talk, not wanting to engage, and then they see this program and they see a dog and they want to be part of it, not only for themselves, but then also to help their fellow veterans. And we breed specific labs and golden retrievers for this purpose, just because they seem to retain that wanting to please quality. And we are looking to expand off-site, off of Menlo Park campus, to engage in our puppy, what we call our puppy program. So we bring in, when we have a litter, we bring in puppies anywhere from 2 weeks old to 12 weeks. And the gentlemen that train the older dogs, older meaning 7 months to 2 years, get to train those little tiny pups and watch that progression and watch the developmental stages that the puppies go through. So it's a really great program, and it's great to see the vets get to engage in that and help themselves, and then helping another veteran as well. Thank you so much.
Finally, we have from Utah the founders of Labs for Liberty, Dr. Joan Knoll and her husband Roger Knoll.
Thank you. We're really honored to be here. It's all about awareness. We have 22 veterans committing suicide every day. I mean, 22, just think about that. Every 64 minutes we lose a veteran who has given ultimately everything for us. And we thought we can give back, we can change that. We can help them realize they have a wonderful quality of life waiting for them. And by doing that, we decided to train Labrador Retrievers. Partly because we are hunters, we have friends who are hunters, and we wanted to be able to supply that hunting companion secondarily to the service dog, and also an outdoor dog. The other thing is we wanted to be able to train dogs that we could get in veterans' hands in 6 to 8 months. So we identify the veteran like Matt, and then we find a puppy. And we match that puppy to that veteran's needs. If I have a veteran with physical disabilities, I choose a larger dog. And so the veterans get to name their puppies, which creates an instant bond. They get pictures, they get texts, they get emails, they get videos, and they're a part of that dog's life as we're training them. They contact me day or night. If they're having a stress, they contact me. We send more pictures. And then ultimately, we get from Matt or the other veterans specifically what their needs are. Do they have nightmares? Do they have physical issues? Do they have anxiety attacks or flashbacks? And what do they do? And we train that dog specifically to their needs. Willis is not trained for anyone else's needs but Matt's. He will respond to other people in the room that are having anxiety or those kinds of things, but he's trained specifically for Matt because we can train him faster. We don't train to 130 tasks, we train to Matt's tasks. And we get that puppy to Matt in 6 to 7 months instead of a longer period of time. And we're hoping by leveraging time, we're saving more lives. And that's what it's all about. And we do it all free of charge because they paid 100-fold what we could ever hope to repay them just by gifting them this dog. So we're honored to do it. We're honored that people like Matt let us in their lives, and we hope to continue to make a big difference. So thank you.
Ken, final words?
Sure. It had been suggested that I might want to close our talk today with some comments about pet owner responsibility. And as I stand here listening to these 4 extraordinary young men talk about what they've given, that seems inappropriate, because this is an audience that understands far more about what it means to be responsible than I do, and that most of us do. So I thank you for that lesson you have just given to me. Instead, I'll say very briefly that this place is dedicated to bringing animals into families. Every humane society, every animal control agency, every shelter, every rescue group across the country is. It would be my honor to contribute in a small way to this extraordinarily important work by saying that Peninsula Humane Society will, from this point forward, waive all adoption fees for any veterinarian who And I thank you truly for the opportunity to participate in a small way with this important work that you're doing. Congresswoman? Thank you.
Well, we'll open it up to questions, but I just want to say to our veterans, your extraordinary service is something we will never forget.